So when it comes to Joy-Con drift and the lawsuits that Nintendo is facing, they are trying to deflect it, saying, oh, your kids are complaining about it. They're too dumb to actually complain about something. And we're going to use that as a legal loophole, which may work. Oh, man. Gee, I wonder why I talk about negative news. I have no idea.
Skip it up and that up.
Essentially, since the Nintendo Switch has launched, there have been Reddit threads and complaints and plenty of consumers that have complained about Joy-Con drift. What is the Cliff Notes version of Joy-Con drift? Very simple. Is when the analog sticks on your Joy-Cons wear out and they no longer center properly and characters will move by themselves slightly because the analog stick isn't centering completely and it thinks you're actually trying to move the character, which could ruin a system, especially if it's a Nintendo Switch Lite. Joy-Cons on a regular Switch, still annoying, but you could send them out for repair or buy a new pair, which is expensive, but at least it doesn't ruin the whole system. But nonetheless, Joy-Cons are not cheap, and the fact that this happens as often as it does on Nintendo's very popular Switch console is absolutely unacceptable. And due to a bunch of people rightfully so complaining about it, there have been a decent amount of class action lawsuits against Nintendo. One lawsuit is Diaz versus Nintendo of America. Their claim is unfair, deceptive, and/or fraudulent business practices by Nintendo related to Joy-Con drift. Specifically, the lawsuit names 9 claims for relief, with counts ranging from violation of the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act to a breach of implied warranty of merchantability, which means the seller promises that the product will do what it is supposed to do, according to the Federal Trade Commission. Lawsuit number 2, Sanchez versus Nintendo of America, Inc. The claim, unlawful conduct by Nintendo related to its marketing and selling of Joy-Con controllers. Specifically, this suit contains 7 claims for relief, citing violations of California's unfair competition law, false advertising law, the aforementioned Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, and the Song-Beverly Consumer Warranty Act. Lawsuit number 3, Carvajal versus Nintendo of America, Inc. Unfair, deceptive, and/or fraudulent business practices by Nintendo related to Joy-Con drift. The filing states Nintendo is aware of the issue, they definitely are, yet fails to disclose it to consumers prior to purchase and has been unable to successfully eliminate the defect or prevent it from re-manifesting when repaired or replaced. And don't forget about the class action lawsuit also from Chemicals, Schwartz, Kreiner, and Donaldson Smith. There is no way in hell I was going to remember that name off the top of my head. I tried in many a video, so you're damn right I read it right from there. And like I said, there are Reddit threads and the list goes on and on and on and on. But Nintendo has a piss-poor defense against this, but unfortunately the piss-poor defense may actually work. This comes from comicbook.com. I'm going to read it to you, then we'll discuss. According to a report from Axios, listen to this. Nintendo's lawyers have recently argued in a case that certain individuals suing the company have no standing because the ones affected by the Joy-Con drift issue are children. Nintendo has claimed that children cannot sue the company because they allege no cognizable harm to themselves. In addition, Nintendo's defense cited that the end-user license agreement, EULA, that Switch users must acknowledge before using the system states that they must be over the age of 18 to accept. And here is the banger. At this point in time, the arbitrator has actually ruled in favor of Nintendo's defense and has claimed that the 2 mothers representing the children in question cannot proceed with a class action lawsuit. The lawyers representing these plaintiffs have pushed back on this ruling, though, and they have pushed for a federal judge to examine the case. This is just such a scumbag move by Nintendo. How many people who are adults have said that they have dealt with Joy-Con drift? It has been a problem with this system since it has hit store shelves back in March of 2017, and it is still not been resolved. And you're going to try to hide behind, oh, kids are using it, so yeah, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't have the cognitive ability to know what Joy-Con drift is. Yes, they do. My 4-year-old, my 2-year-old daughter would be like, hey, she doesn't play the Switch, but she would be like, why is this character walking and I'm not touching one of the analog sticks? You don't have to have a 300 IQ to figure that out. but they can't accept the end user license agreement. How do you know they accepted it, Nintendo? How did you know the parents didn't accept it and they set up the system for their kids? And also, too, from a lawyer's perspective, for the people that are suing Nintendo, understandably so, how do you know the parents didn't accept the end user license agreement and then hand the console over to their kids? How do you know the kids were like, hey, mom or dad, why is it when I'm playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey that the characters are moving, or Mario or Link are moving, and I'm not touching the analog stick? It doesn't take a rocket scientist. You don't have to be an adult to know that there's something wrong. And the fact that they might rule in Nintendo's favor and use this cheesy cop-out, this really crappy, scammy cop-out, is just typical, man. It's again, the system is rigged in favor of corporations. The bottom line is this: I don't want to go down the political route here, is that there is a problem with the Joy-Cons. You've essentially admitted before Nintendo there's a problem with the Joy-Cons, and you're using a cop-out because you don't want to have to pay. Because if these cases are won by people, Nintendo's going to have to pay a butt ton of money, and they don't want that to happen. So they're going to use any legal loophole in the book, and I hope that they can't do it. I want to hold every corporation accountable. I'm a fanboy of not a single one of them. I call out every company equally. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.